So, it may not be a Christmas story. Well, it does kind of take place in Christmas for a little bit, but still, I figured, it still has all the meanings of Christmas, right? And that's why I decided to do, today, a review of probably the greatest Daredevil story, and probably best-known Daredevil story, Daredevil Born Again by Frank Miller and art by David Mazzucchelli. Now, what can I honestly say about this comic that hasn't already been said? Other than, like I said, yeah, it's the definitive Daredevil story. It is the Daredevil story that pretty much everyone remembers. This is the story everyone knows best for. Everyone knows this story as it has such great thematic themes to it. I just repeated myself, kind of. It has just some great theme. It has some of the greatest themes to it. Some excellent writing, and this is probably Frank Miller in his prime. This is Frank Miller in his prime, not racist, crazy Uncle Frank Miller. That's kind of the thing, is that this is a comic that people know. What can I say? Like I said, what can I honestly say about Daredevil Born Again that hasn't already been said? So, for those who are unaware about the story of Daredevil Born Again and why you should read it, Daredevil Born Again is a comic where, in this point in time, Karen Page, Daredevil's first love, pretty much what had happened was that by this time she'd become a porn star and a drug addict, and she's out of the business, more or less, and she's still hooked on cocaine and, other manner of illegal substances. So she's pretty much sold everything, sold her body multiple times, and just to get a fix, one little hit, she sells Daredevil's secret identity, of course Matt Murdock, and the information goes straight to Kingpin, and he's like, okay. Now you're probably wondering, well, wouldn't Kingpin, be like, alright, there's no way that this source can be credible. There is no way on Earth that this can be a credible source. Well, here's the thing. Fisk is like, yeah, I know this could be, total bullshit, but my whole thing is I want to destroy Daredevil's life, and if this is true, then I gotta test this first. So through through a series of events, more or less, he kind of digs the knife ever so slowly into Matt Murdock's life. He freezes all his assets, he gets fired, he gets disbarred as a lawyer, and keep in mind, Matt Murdock does not have the best life, nor does he have the best mental state. So, when all this shit happens, he's convinced this is all of, his own volition, and he's just very out of it right now. But when he, and then a cop he thought was a good guy turned out to be dirty, and when Daredevil goes to investigate why are you picking on Matt Murdock, that's when Fisk is like, oh yeah, this is real. I'm gonna enjoy this. So, now that Fisk knows that, Matt Murdock is in fact Daredevil, he's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna dig the knife a little deeper into Matt's life. And I love the moment where Matt finally figures out that it was Fisk the whole time, and where his whole apartment gets blown up. He loses everything, including the costume, and he's holding it, and he's like, up until now, I thought that this was just a random, these are just random moments in my life. Nice work, Fisk. You shouldn't have signed it. I know I'm paraphrasing, but yeah, that's such a great moment, and there's some great moments in here. And yeah, I know this does follow a lot of the classic Miller stuff, like repeating words, but they have a lot more meaning this time. Another thing that kind of bothers me, and this is just a minor thing that Miller does consistently throughout all of his damn comics, is that you can't tell who's talking, who's inner monologuing and who's not. It took me forever to figure out, oh, that's not Kingpin monologuing, that's Matt. Or, oh, that's not Matt inner monologuing, that's Fisk. So that was kind of the thing, and he does that all the time. Yeah, you can't tell who's inner monologuing half the time. Takes a while to finally get it, to understand it mostly. But Andy does do the repeating thing, but the repeating thing is handled a little better because it drives home a point, like when, after Fisk beats the shit out of Matt after he breaks in and tries to beat down Fisk, Kingpin basically puts him in a cab and drives him off a harbor to drown in this cab and make it look like it was an accident, more or less. But Matt escapes, and when his people, when Fisk's people find out, they tell him, and he keeps repeating in his head the one sentence that's kind of haunting Fisk: "There is no corpse." And he's like, yeah, it keeps repeating, and it's like, oh, that's really cool. Now, David Mazzucchelli, I know a lot of people said that Frank Miller did some of the art, and Mazzucchelli just pinned it in. Now, I've done some digging, and that's like, no, it's all Mazzucchelli, which it shows. This is some of Mazzucchelli's best artwork is in this comic, and in the Daredevil run in general. I think, yeah, he did a lot more in Daredevil than just this comic. I know that he went back and forth with Miller in the Daredevil run. So yeah, that was kind of the thing, is that Matt gets, that was the thing about the artwork. And like I said, if you loved Mazzucchelli on Batman Year One, oh my god, is his artwork just awesome in here. And it's a nice little personal tale for Matt Murdock as well, where you follow Matt in just descending into madness, and you see him climb out of this hole. And yes, this is the comic that also brought in Matt's mother. And I love that moment where he figures it out, where he's like, "Maggie, are you my mother?" And she's like, "Of course not." And she's like, "Yeah, you're lying." And then he's like, her heartbeat skipped. She's lying. And he just smiles. Which also, there's a nice little thing I think Mark Waid did in Original Sin, in the Daredevil Original Sin tie-in, where Matt got this impression of his father being a wife-beater, and that's why Maggie left to join a convent, when in reality, fun fact, when in reality, Matt goes to Maggie and asks her what really happened, and she's like, no, that's not what happened. I had postpartum depression and tried to kill you, but your father protected me from you, and I couldn't bear to live with you anymore, so I went to go join a convent, and that's why I became a nun. I was like, wow, that's really fucking heavy. Yeah, I mean, Original Sin was a mixed bag, but that was really cool. Well, it was a kind of an interesting twist, more or less. But yeah. So, this comic is obviously going to be the main setup for Daredevil Season 3, which I'm really interested to see where they're going to go with this, because they're in the middle. They just start off with Maggie, Matt in the church and about to meet Maggie. So it's like, we're in the middle of the story. How is that going to work? Exactly. How exactly are you going to do this? Anyway, so that's kind of the big thing. I'm wondering how this is going to go and how they're going to play this out. But yeah. But the story is, like I said, what more can I say about Daredevil Born Again that hasn't already been said, other than go fucking read this book. Go find it. I actually got this for, I found this at a Books A Million for like $5, the whole trade. Keep in mind, this is a $30 book in trade. So, the fact that I got it for, less than a fraction of its price is nothing short of awesome. I also got Iron Man, funny enough, I also got Iron Man Armor Wars, the trade for, no, that was at a convention, and that was for $5. Anyway, no, that was, I also got the trade for Days of Future Past as well. And that was also, it was really cheap as well. Who knew that Books A Million gave away awesome comics for really cheap prices? Anyway. So, yeah, like I said, this is an excellent comic. If you're a Daredevil fan, you obviously have that. If you obviously have this comic. But if you want to read more Daredevil, if you really want to read more Daredevil comics, then I highly recommend you guys check out Daredevil Born Again. It is pretty much the definitive Daredevil story. And I could go on and on about this, but like I said, people have reviewed this comic multiple times and reviewed it much better than I have. And like I said, what more can I say about this comic that hasn't already been said? So you guys tell me in the comments below, what did you guys think of Daredevil Born Again? And hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.